So let's get started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, How to Master Advertising in B2B. We're super excited to have you here and appreciate that you are taking time to join us this morning. We will start with just an introduction of ourselves. My name is Pernilla Walken, and I'm the marketing manager here in InZynk. I will be your host for today. But I will hand over to the more main character of today's session, which is Rasmus Widegren. Can you tell me a bit about yourself and what you do at InZynk?
Of course. Should we switch mic?
Yes.
Great.
Thank you. I've been. My name is Rasmus, as Pernilla mentioned. I've been working with B2B marketing for the last 10 years, more focused on the tech side of things. I'm currently heading up the product division at InZynk. And that's it. I've got a strong background in account-based marketing mainly.
Perfect. Can you also tell us a bit, for the ones who's new to InZynk, can you tell us the short version of what we do?
Of course. As for myself, we at InZynk come from a background of working with account-based marketing for a lot of years. I think the majority of us has been working with account-based marketing for the last 10 years. But I would say that the last couple of years, we have been feeling that sort of account-based marketing has been sort of taking a wrong turn. It's the general idea of account-based marketing is that it's really complex to start and it's really expensive when it comes to acquiring or purchasing a platform to get started, and you need to invest a lot of resources into it. So we at InZynk, we are sort of striving to make the essentials really accessible and easy for marketers today to get started and also in a really cost-effective way.
Perfect. Thank you for that introduction. I think we head right into the agenda for today. And this is what we'll walk you through during this session. We'll talk a bit about how to reach the decision makers, even beyond the ones you don't know, how to think regarding targeting persona versus company. Also, why LinkedIn alone doesn't cut it in a B2B world. We will also try to be a bit more specific and show you guys a demo in the end. And we will end the whole session with a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, just send them in and we will try to answer them in the end of this session. So I think let's start.
Perfect. Thank you. So in my role, I speak to a lot of B2B marketers on a daily basis, and the one thing that is sort of really clear to everyone, basically, and that's been going on for the last decade or so, is that the buying behavior of today is really changing fast, and it's becoming more and more struggling for marketers to sort of create that effect that you're sort of longing for. And these stats on the slides, they are just insane in my mind. But having 80% of the interactions actually happening in digital channels, that is a lot of time not being spent with a sales guy or a sales rep, which put a lot of efforts on the company to actually stand out in a digital space. And also the fact that buyers of today are wishing for a experience where they don't really have to talk to sales. And adapting to this is really challenging. And a while back as well, Gartner published a report that is in my mind, still super relevant. And I think that many marketers have seen it or also read it. And what they are sort of speaking about in that report is that the experience or sort of the understanding of selling and understanding the buying process is really skewed. So in general, selling companies believe that an average deal process or a buying process is about 7 months, and it involves about 10 people that is influencing or making that decision. And the difference in reality is that there's a lot of more people involved in making that decision, and the buying process also starts a lot earlier than expected. So it's almost double or it's more than double in time for the actual buying process of sort of starting and initiating and taking place. And you also have 3 times more people that are involved in making and influencing that decision. And that creates a huge gap that is really sort of tricky to sort of manage and also to sort of tackle in a digital space. And the key takeaway from that research is actually that it's becoming more and more crucial that you get in front of your audience. You have to get in front of your sort of top prioritized companies a lot sooner than you think. You also have to reach a lot more people, and more people than you might think of. And you also have to do that in a much more personalized way. And even though we might know this, the challenges are still extremely relevant, and most of the B2B marketers I speak to are feeling these challenges on a daily basis. And why is that? That is basically that's basically how you today measure marketing, basically. So what would be the main KPI that you would think of when it comes to marketing today? The majority of all marketers raise their hand and say that that's leads. It's generating leads. That's the main KPI. And as many as 79% of all marketers say that that's their top priority today. It's generating leads. But the trick is, or the challenge is that we all know that leads don't really translate into deals, right? Forrester came with the research a couple of years ago, stating that only 1% of all leads actually turn into business or deals. And we, though, in marketing, we keep focusing on leads, and why do we do that when we know that it's not really living up to our expectations? A lot of people I speak to, they understand this challenge, and they know that this is not really the answer to making that creating that effect on the business to generate that growth that you're after. But what's the alternative when you're measured on it, and sort of how do you go about in sort of creating those activities that can generate something else? And from our side, it's mainly due to understanding the input versus the output. So if you use as input, if you use personas or persona-based data, basically, what you will end up getting as an output is also leads, basically. And going back to that research from Gartner, when you're adding your own thoughts and your own beliefs on that persona that you're trying to reach, because you think that they are the ones that making the decision, you're excluding a lot of people that are involved in making that decision and are sort of influencing that deal. But what happens if you, as an input instead, would use a company? And before going into that, I have another question that I want you to think of. What activities or sort of channels do you as a marketer rely on to drive growth for your business? I would say 100% of all B2B marketers today, and maybe I'm sort of on a line here, but I would say that they are using LinkedIn in some way. And I would say that LinkedIn is a go-to. It's a great tool, and everyone in B2B marketing knows about LinkedIn. It's really familiar. It's really manageable, and also everyone else is doing it. So there isn't really that many arguments to not doing LinkedIn. But the thing is that LinkedIn also has its limits, and LinkedIn is around personas. They are sort of circling around the persona. But in complex deals or in B2B deals, it's not just one persona that is going to make that decision. So what you end up is you're actually ending up with a quite broad target audience, but not only with relevant organization or companies that you are actually have an opportunity to get a business with. And that also includes a lot of people that don't have an interest of your business at all. And you really miss the chance to be really personal and create that perfect message for each specific company on your prioritized list, basically. And also, one main thing for me is that it's only one channel, so you rely completely on the performance of that platform, and that the audience or the users on that platform is active enough and are staying long enough to actually see your message and understand and engage with it, basically. And this sort of goes back to that focusing on leads instead of deals are not really getting you that growth that you're wishing for or longing for. And according to a report from vPromote, 85% of the marketers today say that they're struggling with connecting marketing efforts or marketing activities with business outcomes. So what's the options and sort of are there any better options for B2B marketers today? And how would you go about in sort of creating that Coca-Cola effect for your company? And again, referring to the Gartner research, how can you make sure that you are always visible to the right audience, even though you might not know who the persona is in that right audience? And how can you become well known within those top prioritized companies and also positioned rightly towards those? Most of the marketers or all the marketers I speak to, they are really engaged in being involved in driving that growth and driving sort of business outcome, and not really be measured on or seen as a cost driver, basically. But how can you then create that Coca-Cola effect and make sure that you are visible and well known and rightly positioned? And today there are not maybe millions, but thousands of marketing tools out there. And if you have all the money in the world, that's not an issue. You can purchase all of those performances or all that platforms that they come with. You might have some kind of a resource problem instead, but that's another issue. But the thing is that in B2B marketing today, you don't really have that budget, do you? This is how much some of the most known companies in the world spend on advertising on a yearly basis. And these figures they're quite insane in my mind. But for an average B2B marketer, these figures are just it's like a dream. You won't be able to reach anywhere near this at all. So how are you able then to create that Coca-Cola effect without having the Coca-Cola budget? And how can you make sure that you are visible all the time towards those prioritized accounts or companies? And when you have a tight budget, that means that you really have to prioritize your activities and what you're engaging with as a marketer. And how can you create and drive that growth and generate that business, but also staying within that budget that you have. So our plan today is that I'm also going to show you how to actually do that, but on a much smaller scale, and it's really manageable. And I think that we will be able to go through this within about 5 to 7 minutes. Which in my mind is really manageable, and hopefully it will show you how easy it is to actually set this up. So now we will try to change screen in a smooth way without interfering too much with the experience. So then I go to our platform, and I'm gonna sign up as a new company. So we sign up as a test company. Now I've done this sometimes, so I'm gonna use some kind of a generic number here, and then we can use our website as the address. And then I sign up as a user. And here we go. So the first thing I want to do when trying to sort of becoming visible towards those prioritized companies that I have on my list is I want to set up some advertising to get started. And to do that, I go through this flow for setting up advertising. Here we go. So first I'm gonna identify the company that I'm going to target and on trying to reach and influence. And top of my mind right now is the example below here. So I'm gonna go with IKEA in Sweden. So I'm searching for IKEA here, and I'm gonna add IKEA to my list. And for a tag, we are able to use tags in a way where you can use them for filtering and sort of segmentation later down the road in the platform. So currently I'm just gonna say that it's a Swedish company. So I want to tag them with Sweden, and I want to tag them with my own name because I'm the responsible sales rep for this account. And then I'm gonna hit save. And now I need some kind of a creative or an ad to show for IKEA. Unfortunately, I don't have any ad that is sort of really relevant for IKEA. So I'm gonna go to the ad creator down here, and I'm gonna create that ad. So I go and I choose the existing target company. And here we will have IKEA, hopefully. Here we go. And now I'm going to choose a template that I think will sort of fit my needs, and I'm going to go with this one because I think it's quite clean. And what's happening now is basically that we're generating a template for you to get started with creating your creative. So we scrape the websites of both the sender and also the receiver of this ad. To get some sort of bits and pieces of information that we think will be a really good copy for you to work with, basically. And of course, you're able to edit that as I'm going to show you. And what we also do is to add some generic AI image to this ad to make it usable, basically. But I'm not really into these AI images, so I'm gonna change this image right away. Now I think I have some image here, or we can see if we can get this from here, basically. Webinar image. It sounds right. Yeah, here we go. I like this lady, and I like the yellow. So I'm gonna save this, and now I'm gonna tweak the copy just slightly. So I'm gonna say InZynk platform instead. And I think this width is placed a bit that you couldn't see it, so I want to do it like that instead. And then I'm gonna save that. And this orange button is not to my liking, so I'm gonna change this color to white, and I'm gonna remove the border around this. Here we go. And as you can see, you get all of the formats that are sort of recommended to use in our advertising tool. And we can preview these. You see that they scale, and you're able to tweak all of the different formats if you want. So I'm gonna save this as a creative, so I can then use this when setting up my advertising towards IKEA. So I'm going to the creative, and then I'm gonna connect this company that we just added. So we have IKEA here. I'm gonna connect that, so I can see that now I'm gonna set up advertising towards IKEA, and I'm gonna use this ad that I just created. And here I'm gonna choose some default settings. Our recommendation basically is that you should run advertising and be active and visible towards this company as long as the sales process or sort of the deal is on the table. That could be sort of hard to know, so you can always edit that or sort of change things later on. But now I'm thinking that I'm gonna close this deal in the end of February. And where I want them to land when they are engaging with my ad would be our customer case regarding this platform, basically, that I think is super relevant for them. And I'm also gonna edit some of the advanced settings here as well. So I want them to really be able to see this. So I'm gonna use an upper frequency, and I'm interested in actually reaching the most people or the most individuals that I can with this advertising. So I'm gonna go with the reach algorithm here. And the last step in this process is to attach a budget or a planned budget for this advertising activity. Now I know that IKEA is quite of a large organization, so I think I'm gonna go with around 3,500 Swedish kronor. That's around 300 to 350 euros a month. And here you get the estimated budget for the entire period and also what we're going to deliver in that period as well. And now I'm good to go. I'm not actually gonna launch this because then Pernilla will sort of hunt me down when launching that ad. But I'm gonna save this as a draft. And now I'm basically all set up in starting my advertising towards IKEA. Great, and that's really sort of how you can, in a cost-effective way, make sure that you are visible towards your most prioritized companies every time they are sort of going online and in sort of reading news or researching, etc. And also it's about really making sure that you get this effect that you are visible and sort of in the message also enable to be really well positioned and really be personalized in your messaging towards this company. And I think that's it. Are we on time? I think so. You want to take over the mic for a minute?
Yes. Thank you very much for the presentation, and I think the demo was super interesting to see, because I'm actually impressed how fast you can do that, because I have been struggling with having the faith in Rasmus doing that so quickly. But now we're up to the point where we have a Q&A session. And I can just start by answering the question regarding the slides. And for everyone who wants to see this, you will be able to, sorry, you all will get a recorded version that will be shared with you guys after the webinar. So you will get all the slides and the recorded version. So just hit us up if you have any questions so we can answer them during this session. I just have a question regarding the budget. How can you explain a bit more about how to think about budget? Because that's something that I know some of our customers is asking a lot. When to sort of, when are you supposed to start your advertising towards a company, and how much do you need to put in to actually have an effect for the company?
Yeah, so as we saw, as this example in the Gartner report, on average, we tend to be too late when we have identified an opportunity. So I would say the sooner the better, in really being able to position yourself completely right towards a specific company is really key in this sense. And again, the sooner the better. I would say most of our customers have some identified companies they know they want to do business with. But that's in my mind is sort of a given that you should be visible towards those companies. The other use case that is really common is that you have ongoing deals that sales have identified, and you are more sort of supportive or supporting those deals, and supporting the sales rep in those deals to also emphasize on the message that they are bringing to the table when talking to the customers, and really sort of aligning on that messaging and the positioning towards that company. But so start the sooner the better. But in terms of the budget, I would say you have to evaluate both sort of the size of the company. The bigger the company tend to get a bigger budget, but it's not really necessary in all cases. If you are selling, let's say, to an industrial company where you know that a lot of people or a lot of employees are not working behind a computer, so you're not really able to reach them digitally, you aren't needed to consider that sort of amount of people or the amount of the workforce as a potential audience. Then you should also consider the sort of the importance of the deal or the size of the deal. So if it's a really valuable prospect or opportunity for you, we usually recommend to invest a bit more in those. If you know that this is a really huge deal in terms of we can acquire a big brand or something like that, that also goes into sort of the thinking process. I saw another question in the Q&A section, and that's sort of where this advertising is shown or displayed. So we run our advertising solution programmatically. That means that we are connected to the sort of a global network of publicists So we bid wherever the users are, basically, on showing your ads towards that audience. The key for us is that it's the company that is right, and they are coming from the right country of your selection, basically. But if they go online and read Swedish news or American news or British or Norwegian news, that doesn't really matter to us. What we do, though, add to that is some brand safety and ad fraud measures. And there we work with a company called Integral Ad Science, IAS. So in that way, we can also make sure that our ads that we run are not shown somewhere in a context that is not sort of suitable for business to business. And those categories could be like weapons, wars, drugs, pornography, alcohol, etc. So all our ads are excluded from a context around that. So even if it's a publicist or a newspaper that is really sort of high regarded, if they have an article about a war or a conflict that's going on, our ads will not be shown in that context.
Perfect. Let's see. I think I saw another question. Yeah. How do you sort of, because you talked about the KPI for marketeers are always pretty much leads, but how can you show the effect and receipt that this type of activity is working or bringing value for the company?
Yeah, so as mentioned as well, you should try to sort of, or you should strive to be aligned with sales and sort of combine your reporting in an ideal world. In some cases or in every instance, that's not an opportunity, maybe. So only looking at the data that sort of within the system or what we can provide, we usually look at sort of can you influence that company in sort of reaching more and more people and engage with more people, both in terms of engaging with the ads and seeing the ads, but then also how many individuals are coming to your website, how many individuals are then reading about content that really matters for this deal. And are you able to measure that and track that over time? You can also start evaluating the effect of the advertising part, but also you can use that data to try to understand. And when you talk to sales, it usually becomes really apparent that where is this deals going? If you see that they have really low engagement with your advertising activities and also on your website, that usually tells you something about the deal that's going on or the opportunity. In some edge cases, that can be sort of the complete opposite, and that's why we always sort of recommend to be really close to sales and speak to them a lot around these companies. And it's really the time spent is really sort of paid for in the end.
Perfect. Thank you. I think that we have time with one last question, and that is, how much does it cost?
That question, yeah. So the platform itself, it's free. So you can use the platform, and when you sign up to start with, you get the entire suite of products and features for the first 3 months. For the advertising part, as you saw when I signed up, you are able to by yourself choose how much you want to spend towards each company, basically. After 3 months, you will have access to the advertising features or products in the platform. Again, still free of charge if you want, or you have the possibility to pay 2,500 Swedish kronor or 249 euros per month for accessing the entire suite of products with sort of the website tracking, creating ads, etc.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I think that that was it for today. Just want to send you away with a reminder that you actually can create that Coca-Cola effect, but you be the known brand for your most important customers, so that you are visible, known, and is super relevant. And just so you know, as Rasmus said, the platform is obviously free. That's nice to hear. I think that all B2B marketers can be happy for that. But just sign up today or reach out if you have any questions regarding the platform or anything else. Otherwise, we would like to thank you for today and thank you for participating in this webinar.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.